Welcome everybody back to Chatbox and another episode of Chatbox Unboxed. Today, I don't have Winston with me today, but I will be doing an episode here today of a director's commentary of the Olympus Cup, which recently just dropped. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend that this not be the first time that you watch it. This is going to be a lot more of a visual episode as well, so if you're a Spotify listener, the video will be posted on Spotify, but that doesn't inherently mean that it's going to be any better or worse for you. It's just your preference. As always, make sure you subscribe if you enjoy the show. We have more. We're planning on having some more guests soon so that we're not just a solo podcast episode. And yeah, let's get right into it. So Olympus Cup 3, I do my classic intro of IBL logo. We can skip ahead of this. I really like this graphic. I shouldn't have used it twice. For these intros, I try to my best to match it with the song, along with not spoiling the game, and while also not calling back too far where people wouldn't understand. So obviously you see the furthest back I went was the Olympus, the first ever Olympus Cup. And then I show highlights from the season. I do show highlights from last season, but I think they're so like unnoticeable that you just wouldn't know. Like that was the Olymp Cup. Now we're back to the original Olympus Cup, and I do my best to not like differentiate it too far away from the current season, you know. So let's get right into the Olympus Cup, baby. This is Cooper and Winston. I do the coin flip virtually every time. It's kind of just tradition now. They wanted to kick first. This is a rule that we might change. Like we might fix up the kickoff rule because people like to kick it out of bounds, as you know, if you've watched any of it. This game was just a weird game. I really like the score bug that I made. I'm gonna legitimately hand make logos probably for the next season if we have it. These are AI generated, I will say. I'm not super proud of that, but time constraints plus the fact that I really didn't have time to make solo logos as I wanted to. In comparison to what we saw at halftime, which took me 3 days, which I'll get to in a minute. So, yes, they are AI generated. I promise that I'm not going to reuse them for if we do a following season. I will be doing I will be either hand drawing it or using the pixel stuff to make the logos to kind of keep with the themes. I'm looking at the wrong camera. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'll admit to that being AI generated, but that was mainly because of time constraints. So it's not a lazy thing, it was a quickness thing. And also a skill thing, I will say. So, this game starts relatively slow for both teams. I try to keep the Olympus Cup a little bit more serious than the normal games, but in the case of this game and how it went specifically, I think that I'm trying to think on how to properly say this. For the case of this game, I think that the funny sound effects and like goofy things that happen kind of make up for the kind of lackluster start, or at least lackluster overall game that it was. And as you can see, right now you wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that this game was going to start slow because, it's a turnover. It's a turnover in the first play of the game, and it's a sack. So, I mean, that doesn't ever happen. And we've got dynamic angles. We have 4 camera angles this game. We have 2 live cameras, which is always nice to have, which never happens. So there's not like a whole lot going on this first half anyway. We see, I think most of the games this season, it's very common for nobody to score a touchdown in the first drive in this season. I feel like it's either turnovers or interceptions. I don't think it's very common. Daniel did fall there. That is not a penalty. There was no penalty there. Daniel did kind of he rolls over and then he kind of takes a cut and falls. I didn't grab him. I went to grab his flag, and as he went down, my hand got caught in his belt, but he was already going down. There's the mud. So now, we're on the second drive. Winston, there he is. This is the first touchdown of the game. Nolan moving in slow motion. Cooper unable to grab him, who just completely runs off the field for some reason. Nolan's not happy about this game. I'll tell you that from firsthand experience. Nolan is not quite happy. I really like that we were able to get the secondary angle like this, not the corner end zone, the secondary live camera. Oh boy, field goals. Okay, I have a bone to pick with all of my PATs from this past season, and let me tell you it. Okay, let me tell you what's going on here. No, don't watch this. I'm going to need everybody listening, everybody watching, to watch the video version of this podcast episode. Okay? This happens every time. I'm not great at PATs. I'm not great at kicking field goals. When I played place kicker in high school, I went 7 for 14 on PATs, and that was my entire field goal attempt record. I was a very well-rounded punter. Okay? I was a dog crap kicker, and I want to say that now. And I get really sad whenever I watch myself miss field goals like this because it gives me PTSD. But I promise I can make them. And I know that I have videos of me making them. And I know that I've made a 45-yard field goal before. I've made an almost 50-yard field goal before. I didn't make it, but I almost did. I'm bad. I'm bad at kicking field goals. That's one thing. The second thing is, not a lot of people understand how to hold a football. A lot of people like to put a lot of pressure on the top and pushes it down. Because I promise you, I don't know if I can pause it at the right time, but I'm not, like, my form's not bad. I kick it correctly. It's hard to see it's kind of hard to see with the play bar right there, but I kick it correctly with the right part of my foot. I'm a little far out, and I probably would have missed anyway, but it wouldn't have been this knuckleball. You can see Jonathan is, look, I don't know if you can see it as well. You can see it in one of the older games better than you can see it in this one. Let me see if I can find it. You can kind of see their hands sometimes move down. Yeah, it did a little bit, but not enough, I don't think, to where you would notice it. Jonathan doesn't do it as much. Nolan did it in the one game where I shanked it even worse than that. But a lot of times they like to hold the tip really, really, like, aggressively. Like, they'll push down on it. And that kind of, like, that's what we like to call tampering. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not blaming it on them because it's not entirely their fault. Even if that was the case, I should have kicked it better, and I probably would have missed this field goal either way because my form I was a little bit too far to the left, and it kind of hooked anyway. But in the cases, there are some cases where I've kicked it well and still missed, and a lot of times it's because of the hold, and a lot of times it's because the hold is too hard, too heavy. So it kind of like imagine a golf ball, right? Like you have your golf ball on the tee, and you're going to hit it. But if something is pushing down on that golf ball as you hit it, it's not going to have the same trajectory as it was if you would just hit it off the tee. Now, that's a whole, like, obviously that would never happen in a golf game, but if somebody put their finger on top of your golf ball while you hit it, it's not going to have the same trajectory as it would had you hit it off the tee. Now, again, that's a bit of a different example, but I think that the general principle of it applies the same here. I have no reason to justify this because I'm terrible at kicking field goals anyway, and there's probably going to be 8 people that watch this video. So, here we are. You know, that's all I have to say. All right, so now we missed a PAT, but we got a turnover, so it's 8-1. If you don't know, touchdowns are worth 7 points automatically, and turnovers are worth 1. This team just had some trouble connecting. The Southland Amigos, who were ranked number 1 and completely undefeated for the entire season, they struggled a good bit here. Danny really likes to do this thing. You'll see it a lot with Danny. He likes to do this thing where, like, whenever we're discussing, or like the team he's playing is discussing, he likes to set up, snap, boom. And also, this is a struggle. They played rock, paper, scissors. I didn't know that. Danny was trying to get me to look over there. I didn't look. They were playing rock, paper, scissors. His pocket timer expired. It's a championship game, man. Like, come on. Take it seriously. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a big one. This is important. This is what the whole reason that I wanted to do this director's commentary in the first place. So, halftime report. Ralph Walters is nowhere to be found. Okay? We're going to go back here. We're going to rewind for y'all so y'all understand this. So, in the Olympics, right? Oh, technically it's in Milano, Cortana, whatever it's called. Or technically it's in Canada, I guess. Right? So Ralph is there. And this connects the squad game series to the IBL universe. It's going to connect now. They're in the same universe. Thank God. So, our little internal lore that we have, it's not, you see it sometimes. So Ralph he's at the Winter Olympics and he's on his flight back in the playoff, in the last playoff game. So before this game, the playoff game, there's Ralph and he's on the plane and he's doing his report and people are yelling at him for doing the halftime report during thing. So it goes Winter Olympic squad games and then that video of the playoff game. Now we're here. Ralph's flight hasn't landed on time. So nobody knows where Ralph is. Has anybody seen Ralph? Oh, I don't think his flight landed there. You do hear Chaz as well. Chaz is in this halftime show. Twice, actually. You're about to see him again. Now Ralph's in the airport. His phone is ringing. That is a picture of Ralph Walters that he photoshopped himself, not me. And I made this edit really quick. And I didn't mean to, and I didn't realize that I did. But it says, bro, the Olympus Cup is today. Where are you at? And that's when Ralph's like, oh, shoot. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. And he runs away, drops some W. He realizes he didn't bring the W. He's like, I didn't bring this. Whatever. I got to go. And then now this Robo guy is chasing him down the hallway. I'm so proud of that. I really like this scene because I think it shows very well like what's happening. So Robo guy comes and peeks around the corner. Ralph's all like, he's suspicious. He doesn't quite know yet. But he sees him chasing him. Now this scene with the hallway, he's running back and forth and Ralph is coming closer to the screen and boom. Now we're outside. Okay. Where did I park? Drop kick, super quick. Doesn't look that quick in editing, but it is very quick. And if you look closely, this is going to bother me for the rest of my life. He does Mr. Robo still has green screen marks and white screen marks in his cutout. So Ralph drops the W and he gets picked up and goes. Now, this is another chase scene. This whole animation, this 1 minute and 30-second animation, took me 3 days of like nonstop editing. It took a long time because it was my first time ever animating something like this before. And it's frame by frame. So every few frames, I have to move Ralph a certain amount. I have to move Mr. Robo a certain amount. I have to move the W with his hand to make sure that it looks like he's holding it. So Ralph gets, let's see. That was all in 10 seconds. Like that was all in less than 10 seconds. He gets up, picks it up, runs away. Ralph comes, chases him down. They're chasing each other. Now they're at this little overhang. This is supposed to look like the New Orleans airport. I didn't do a good job of that. Ralph grabs him and knocks him off the balcony. Oh, no. Wait, what's happening? Now we're in Minecraft. Ralph is ablaze and Mr. Robo is an iron golem, punches him. This is the scene that I'm the most proud of. Again, goes really a lot quicker than I would have liked it to. But it's just so clean to me. That's the cleanest scene where they're fighting. That's how he finds out he's a robot. He turns on his little... You can't really see it. It's so fast that you can't really see it. It's a 4-second clip that took me like 2 hours to make. So, thud, Ralph gets up, punch, backflip, clothesline, and then he grabs the W and flies away. You see his boots? You see the rocket boots? So that I made specifically for this scene. And you will see these later. And this is what I was talking about with the reusing assets thing. You will see these later, and not as rocket boots. I'm sure you'd be able to tell if you paid enough attention, though. So he flies away. That's how Ralph finds out he's a robot. Gets on this car that drives away. Ralph gets on a purple, similar car. And then now they're on Big Blue and Smash Ultimate. And as you can see, I did this on purpose. Ralph is on a purple car. So it's very nice. He is unfortunately not on a turquoise car because I don't think there is a I say that as there is a turquoise car behind Ralph. Well, I guess it's pink, but still. So it's oh yeah, this is also this is a different fight. These two, the cutoff of the scene is two different fights in Smash Bros. So it wasn't like a whole lot going on. It's just kind of, it was also my first time using the Smash Bros. Editing tool. Suplexes him under the track. Now they're teleported in front of the IBL studio, which is obviously totally what it looks like in real life right now. Ralph goes to grab the W, and then he finds out. So you've been causing all the changes. Watch this. I can do this. I can play this part with sound because this has no music. So you've been causing all the changes. For what reason exactly? I don't even know you.
You beat my Olympic team. W gives me power.
And then I can't. It's going to play the Smash Bros. Music. So W gives you power, so that's why he wants. But now this correlates everything together finally. Okay? So we had the robots that were competing against the Squad Games characters in the Olympic Squad Games. Then we had Ralph on the plane. Now we have Ralph landing from his flight, and a robot guy is chasing him around the airport, who also obviously has the access to teleport to different universes and whatnot, different animation styles. So this robot guy now is chasing down Ralph because he's angry that Ralph beat him in the Olympics, that Ralph was one of the contributors of the team that beat him in the Olympics. So they get teleported in front of the IBL studio. That's just by chance. That's what I'm going to say as a horrible storyteller. But I like the continuity between the videos. I really hope that gets some traction very soon in life. I'm just excited about that in general. W gives him power. Now, I can't explain that yet. But he knows something about W that Ralph doesn't. I must destroy. And then he flies away and splats because he misses because Ralph picks up the W. W gives you power, huh? Now, Ralph decides, I'm going to dry scoop it. Boom. Wait, you see that? Go back. All right, ready? Reusing assets. All creatives must reuse assets, and I'm glad I learned that advice when I did. Just watch this. See if I can pause it at the right time. He pops the top off. Boom. You see that? You see that? You see the dry scoop that he's hitting? Dry scoop that he's hitting? Guess what that is? That is the reskinned fire. That is the fire. That is literally, that's what it is. That is the fire animation. Hold on, come on. Let's see if I can pause it at the right time. Yep, there it is. That is the fire animation. I took the little flame, the little sides off, and I painted it purple. And that's it. That's all I did. Not even. I don't even think I did that. I think I literally removed the background from it and then erased the two things and then literally just adjusted the color. Like, I didn't even go in and physically change anything. I think I just changed the contrast and like certain aspects of the red, blue, and green little slider things on CapCut. So, I mean, yeah, reuse assets. It's great. Ralph takes it. He dry scoops. Ready for this? This is my favorite part of the video. He becomes Super Saiyan Ralph. Probably more like Super Ralph. That's what I should call him because I didn't watch Dragon Ball. I know there's a lot of like Dragon Ball references, but I didn't watch any of it. I know nothing about it. I just know that there's Super Saiyan, which is what the GIF behind him is. And these are not like, I left these in on purpose. These little like display marks because they kind of look like extra power coming off of it. You know, this is more based on Supersonic, I guess I should say, because I know more about Sonic than I do about Dragon Ball. But he dry scoops and then becomes Super Ralph. Now I understand. And then he does his Super Sonic Final Smash. That right there, and this is very accurate to what W does for you kids, so drink W. He does the kick, the uppercut kick, sends him into the sky. He does this super cool animation, does the kick. I don't know if anybody ever played Sonic Generations. You know, it's this little game called Sonic Generations. In the rival battle against Metal Sonic, the final, whenever you beat him, the cutscene is Classic Sonic kicks him and he flies in the background and explodes just like that. So that's what that's a reference to. And Ralph now turns into normal Ralph, walks into the studio, boom. I'm home, but nobody's back. Nobody's there because everybody left. Because everybody's like, well, Ralph never clocked in. You see this? Do that. Use code JoeChat at w.gg for 10% off your next order. All right, back to the game. It is 9-1 in the top of the third. And what's going to happen here? You might ask. JoeChat is going to hit a pass to Winston, and Winston's going to score a touchdown. That's what's going to happen. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it was just a super pathetic defense. Hence probably one of the titles of the video. He did bad and Nolan was mad and he threw the ball at Nolan. And I wanted to try a drop kick because, you know what? My PATs obviously weren't successful and I didn't feel like dealing with the holding problem that I just explained a few minutes ago. And I knew that I was good at drop kicks. I almost played rugby before I transferred to the school that I'm currently at. So I do a drop kick. It's not a bad drop kick. I missed, but it wasn't bad. Now we're going to do the kickoff. I'm a little angry. Joe kicks off. Boom. It's a perfect spiral because I'm just the best. I'm just the greatest of all time. It's a touchback. And here we are, back to the Olympus Cup, bottom 3, and the Amigos have the ball. The Southland Amigos, let's see what happens here. Yeah. No dice. Cooper missed. This is you're about to see something that made me mad in recording. I'll say this now, because I'm allowed to say this, because it's my channel, and I don't care. So, Nolan does a fake lateral, and then he falls. Okay? You hear Pierce come from the side. Well, this game's over. That's what he says, and that's exactly what happened. That's pretty much when the game ended, if I'm being truthfully honest. I didn't want him to say that, because I knew that meant that everybody would start treating it like it wasn't important. But I was like, this is the biggest game of the season, whether the score is absolute garbage or not, and whether the game itself is lackluster. I was really trying to push for them to be like, guys, this is supposed to be like the big production of the season. I don't want this to turn to crap. And that's gonna turn to crap if we keep messing around. And that's kind of what happened. So, to go back to what I was saying, see Pierce over here with actually, I will go back to what I was saying is what I meant to say. See, Pierce with this camera. This camera's dead at this point in the video. He doesn't know that. He's just filming nothing. I don't know how that happened, but he didn't know that. So, at this point, everybody's like, the game's over. Danny is standing at D-line with his hands in his pockets. And Grant Grant starts following Winston with the camera. I'm not sure why, but he did. And it's not it's a cool angle. It really is, actually. It ends up being a pretty sick angle. But it was shaky. That's the problem with it. So, they almost got an interception. Didn't quite. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, yeah, I know what happened here. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with this point of the game. We throw the pass. The miscommunication between Winston and Jonathan that gives the Amigos their second point of the game. You see this? You see Pierce here? This clip is obviously... I put the voiceover from the other clip on this clip. Because the clip where Grant actually said what he's saying in this clip, which I believe is they had 2 very real chances to intercept the ball, is really shaky, and I didn't want to just show nothing. So this clip is reused from later. We're already on defense. This clip is way later in the video. Pierce, for some reason, jumped into the game, and they threw him a pass, and he caught a touchdown. But for obvious reasons, that's not allowed. So we had to redo that whole drive. And you'll see him actually... Yeah, look, you can see him running for a pass here, and then I think I cut it out, but I kind of told him to be like... I was like, hey, cut that out. I don't want you to do that. And it's like, I'm not trying to get them to not have fun, Like, I enjoy whenever they enjoy it. And I just, from a production standpoint, I was like, can we please, like, have a serious final drive so that I can have something for the video, please? And, because I can't, like, this is the one video that I literally cannot scrap from IBL flag football. Like, even when I scrapped the final regular season game, it wasn't that much of a scrap. Like, it still exists. And so, I mean, like, so I told him, I was like, at least try so that I can have some footage, please. And that's what they're doing here. So, now it's the final drive. If they score a touchdown, they do have the redemption. Now, the redemption was used in previous videos, but the clips were just so stupid and just not worth putting in the video because all of them got recovered by the receiving team, that it was like, what's even the point of me showing this? Because, like, it does nothing. It adds nothing to the video. So the redemption clause still was a thing at this point, but I had just cut it out of all the other videos because it only happened 3 times, I think. It happened 3 times total. I think it literally happened the last 3 games in a row. But again, it was like, you couldn't do anything about it. It was kind of just, we're going to fix it if that rule comes back in season 4, if we do a season 4. But that's what I'm saying in this clip, or that's what Ralph was saying in this clip, is that if they score a touchdown and kick a PAT, they'll still be in range. They'll be under 7 points. So they can, or less than equal to 7 points, so that they can enact the redemption clause. Which is the thing. So that's how the stakes are still high for them to score. But obviously Jonathan intercepts it, and nobody can remember ever that interceptions kill the play, as Pierce is screaming to get him, and Jonathan is running to return it. So now this part. It always goes back to Pierce, doesn't it? I hate Jonathan's design. It's so bad. But I had to make it relatively quick. Let's see. We had a genuine trophy presentation. First problem with it, I let Pierce do it. Pierce said not the team name and not something that I can keep in the video. Love the kid, but come on, Pierce. But he said something I couldn't keep in the video, and we got the trophy. We presented the trophy. I gave it to Winston. He won MVP for scoring the 2 touchdowns, which you won't really see in this animation. So I had to cut that out. But then I was going to use it anyway, and maybe at first I was actually, I was going to rotoscope Ralph over Pierce and make him say something. I was thinking about it. I genuinely was. And then I go to edit it, and there's no footage of it anywhere. There's no GoPro footage of it. There's no camcorder footage. There's no trophy presentation footage anywhere on any cameras. I don't know how that happened. I genuinely don't. But it's gone. It's all gone. So that's why our trophy animation is, that's why our trophy presentation is animated. I didn't feel like having my character, I had done so much animation at this point that I didn't feel like having my character hand it to Winston, even though Winston did win MVP. Jonathan, I didn't even ask him for voice lines. I asked Winston for voice lines, but not Jonathan, because I didn't know how Jonathan doesn't really say much in the post-game interviews anyway. So, I mean, this is about what we would have gotten anyway. I don't think you can really tell that this is Jonathan if I didn't say it, though. Especially because the glasses and mustache are both PNGs and not originally designed, because glasses are hard to make in this format, because all of this is 1 pixel. I think it's everything is 1 by 1 pixel. What you see, every pixel that you see on these characters is individually placed. So it's kind of tough to make something like this appear on their faces. That is what the trophy looks like. Winston does have the trophy. And this is me saying my cocky line, which is a callback to, I think, game 4, which is the quarterback that never missed a throw, when I said the line that I did that I hoped that I was going to make an edit for. That's why I said it, so that I can make a funny edit for myself, but I never ended up doing it because I got busy. Ralph Walters signing off. And ladies and gentlemen, that was the Olympus Cup. That was it. It was awesome. I loved that I was able to do that. And I just love how this game ended up turning out. Despite that it was a lackluster game. I really liked the animation, and I hope that everybody watching enjoyed. Next time I do one of these director's commentaries, I'm going to slow it down a bit, because I was talking a lot for the last hour or so. I guess a little under an hour. But yeah, so if you enjoyed the Chatbox podcast and these director's commentaries, feel free to subscribe. Of course, subscribe to the main channel and go watch the Olympus Cup 3 championship game. It was an absolute banger of a video, at least. Go check it out. Go check out the main channel, of course, Joe Chat Highlights, Joe Chat Gaming, where everything else is, and of course the Chatbox podcast here on YouTube and Spotify. We will be trying to have some guests soon, and we will be attempting to make more of these unboxed episodes. So yeah, drink some Dubby, use code JoeChat at dubby.gg to get 10% off your next order. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next time.